Oh, look at you, still breathing, still standing, still here. And that right there is the plot twist they never saw coming because they threw everything at you, didn't they? Everything. The drama, the chaos, the manufactured emergencies, the weaponized conversations, the guilt trips wrapped in concern, the public humiliation disguised as jokes, the silent treatments designed to make you beg, the explosions meant to make you flinch. They orchestrated a whole circus, painted themselves ringmaster, assigned you the role of broken clown, and you beautiful, untouchable force of nature. You did something so devastating, so unforgivable, so absolutely nuclear that they're still trying to process it 3 months later. You yawned. Not a polite yawn, not a hidden yawn, a full, slow, unbothered, soul-deep yawn that said, "Is this really all you've got?" without a single word leaving your lips. And then, and then, you did the unthinkable. You walked away. Not stormed, not ran, not collapsed. Walked, casually. Like their entire performance was a commercial break you didn't care to sit through. No explanation, no defense, no final speech. Just the sound of your footsteps, getting quieter, while their world got louder with panic. And now, right now, as you're watching this, they're somewhere losing their absolute minds because the script flipped, and nobody taught them how to handle a main character who refuses to play. Let me take you back to that moment, that sacred, devastating moment, when you became untouchable without even trying because they had it all planned out, didn't they? They knew exactly how it was supposed to go. They'd push, you'd react, they'd accuse, you'd defend, they'd create chaos, you'd scramble to fix it. They'd play victim, you'd apologize. They'd set the trap, you'd walk right in, panic in your eyes, words tumbling out, desperate to prove your innocence, to make them understand, to fix what they broke on purpose. That was the game. That was always the game. Your pain was their power. Your reaction was their fuel. Your emotional breakdown was their highlight reel, their proof that they still mattered, that they could still make you feel, that you still cared enough to hurt. They needed you on your knees. They needed you crying. They needed you small. And for a while, maybe you were. Maybe you gave them that. Maybe you played the part they wrote for you, starring in their drama, hitting your marks, delivering your lines right on cue. But something shifted, didn't it? Something deep, something quiet, something permanent. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was clarity. Maybe you just finally saw through the smoke and mirrors and realized you were fighting shadows, arguing with people who weren't listening, crying for people who were taking notes, breaking for people who were collecting your pieces as trophies. So when they came at you again, locked and loaded with their usual arsenal, the guilt, the blame, the twisted narratives, the fake urgency, the manufactured crisis designed to make you drop everything and prove you still cared. Something inside you just stopped. Not broke. Stopped. Like a machine that finally realized it was never supposed to run on that fuel. They were mid-sentence, mid-performance, mid-manipulation, expecting the usual song and dance, the panic, the defense, the scrambling, the begging for understanding. And instead, you looked at them, really looked, not with anger, not with hurt, with something so much worse, boredom, complete, soul-crushing, spirit-breaking boredom. Your face didn't even change. Your heartbeat didn't even spike. You just yawned, slow, deliberate, like their best material was a rerun you'd seen 47 times and couldn't even pretend to care about anymore. And in that yawn, in that single moment of absolute nonchalance, you destroyed 5 years of their psychological infrastructure. Because that yawn, that wasn't disrespect. That was indifference. And indifference, real indifference, is the only thing narcissists, manipulators, drama addicts, emotional vampires, chaos creators cannot survive. You can fight them, they'll fight back. You can hate them, they'll feed on it. You can love them, They'll weaponize it, but bore them. Show them they don't even register as interesting anymore. Show them that their best performance doesn't even warrant a reaction. That's the kill shot they never recover from. And then you walked away. Oh, the walk. The legendary, iconic, untouchable walk. Not a dramatic exit. No slammed doors, no shouted declarations, no tears streaming down your face while you deliver some movie monologue they can twist later. Just movement. One foot in front of the other, steady, unhurried, like you were leaving a room where someone was telling a boring story, not ending a relationship, not walking away from years of history, not severing ties they thought were chains. You didn't even look back. Not once. Because looking back would have implied they were worth the neck turn, worth the final glance, worth any indication that you cared about their reaction. You didn't. You don't. And that is what broke them. See, they expected rage. They planned for rage. They had 17 speeches prepared for your rage, victim cards ready to play, witnesses on standby, screenshots loaded, narratives crafted, ready to paint you as the villain the second you snapped. They needed you to snap. Your rage would have been their redemption arc. Your breakdown would have been their proof that they were right all along, that you were unstable, that you were the problem, that they were justified in every manipulation, every lie, every tactic. But you didn't give them rage. You gave them nothing. Absolutely nothing. No fuel, no content, no material to work with. You became a blank wall they kept throwing paint at, and every color just slid off, hit the floor, left them standing there covered in their own mess, wondering why it wasn't sticking anymore. Now, let's talk about what happened after. Because this is where it gets beautiful, where it gets poetic, where the universe itself seemed to take notes because you walked away and suddenly their entire ecosystem collapsed like a sandcastle at high tide. First came the confusion. They stood there, frozen, mid-script, mid-manipulation, dialogue prepared, tactics ready, and you were just gone. Physically gone. Emotionally gone. Energetically gone. They sent the messages. You didn't open them. They made the calls. You didn't answer. They showed up. You weren't there. They tried the guilt trips. You didn't book the flight. They played victim. You weren't in the audience. They staged emergencies. You didn't come running. For the first time in years, maybe ever, their chaos had no audience. Their drama had no supporting cast. Their manipulation had no target. And without you there to react, to respond, to care, to fix, to save, to explain, to defend, to break, they had to sit with themselves. Just themselves. No distraction. No supply. No mirror to reflect the version of reality they needed to believe. Just them and the echo of their own emptiness. And that silence, that absence, that complete lack of you drove them absolutely insane because they realized something terrifying. Without your reaction, they're not interesting. Without your pain, they're not powerful. Without your attention, they're not even real. Then came the second phase, the performance phase. Because manipulators, drama addicts, emotional terrorists, they don't just accept defeat, they escalate. They performed for mutual friends, painted themselves victims of your cruelty, your coldness, your sudden inexplicable change. They told stories, twisted timelines, edited conversations, rewrote history, crafted narratives where they were saints and you were a monster who just left for no reason. Out of nowhere, proof of your instability, your lack of loyalty, your dark heart. They posted cryptic things online, vague enough for plausible deniability, specific enough for anyone who knew to understand it was about you. They waited for you to break silence, to defend yourself, to tell your side, to clear your name, to fight for your reputation, to prove you weren't what they said you were. And you just kept living. Posting sunsets, smiling in photos, thriving visibly. Not one word about them, not one hint of drama, Not one passive-aggressive quote, not one explanation, not one defense. You were out here acting like they never existed, like those years were a prologue you skipped, like their entire campaign to destroy you was a fly you brushed off without looking. And that silence, that refusal to engage, that absolute lack of acknowledgement that made their stories sound desperate. Because if you're not defending yourself, if you're not even bothered enough to address it, then maybe, just maybe, their version isn't the truth. Maybe you know something they don't. Maybe you have the real receipts and you're just not showing them because they're not even worth the effort. The third phase, this is where they started unraveling publicly because by now, weeks have passed, maybe months, and you're still fine. Better than fine. Glowing. Peaceful. Unbothered. Successful. Happy. Healed. And they're falling apart. Their new supply isn't hitting the same. Their new targets aren't as reactive. Their chaos isn't as effective. Their manipulation isn't landing because you were the one who made them feel powerful. You were the one who responded to their tactics. You were the one who cared enough to hurt. You were the narcissistic supply, the emotional fuel, the mirror that reflected their false self back to them in a way that made them feel real. Without you, they're just screaming into a void. And people notice. Mutual friends start seeing the cracks. The constant victim routine gets old. The never-ending drama becomes exhausting. The stories stop adding up, and slowly, quietly, people start asking questions. They start noticing that you're not the common denominator. That every story involves someone else being crazy, someone else being wrong, someone else abandoning them for no reason. They notice you never speak ill, you never defend, you never engage. You just exist, peacefully, while this person continues to spiral, continues to obsess, continues to talk about you, months after you stop saying their name. And that makes people think. But here's what they'll never understand. What their chaos-wired brains cannot compute. What drives them insane every single night when they're alone with their thoughts. You didn't leave because you hated them. You didn't leave because you wanted revenge. You didn't leave to hurt them. You left because they stopped being real. Somewhere in all their performance, all their manipulation, all their masks and scripts and tactics, the actual human, if there ever was one, disappeared. You weren't arguing with a person anymore. You were arguing with a strategy. You weren't loving a human. You were feeding a machine. And the moment you realized that, the moment you saw the emptiness behind the eyes, the hollow behind the words, the void behind the chaos, you couldn't unsee it. And you can't fight a void. You can't fix an emptiness. You can't heal someone who isn't actually there. So you stop trying. You stop playing. You stop participating in a game you didn't even sign up for. You chose yourself. You chose peace. You chose sanity. You chose a future where your energy goes to things that grow, not things that consume. You chose silence over their noise. You chose absence over their presence. You chose nothing over their everything. And that choice, that simple, devastating choice to just stop, broke their entire system. Now, let's talk about you, about what you became in that silence. Because while they were spiraling, performing, manipulating, obsessing, you were doing something they can't even comprehend. You were healing, quietly, privately, without an audience, without updates, without a redemption arc they could follow. You processed years of pain they inflicted. You untangled the knots they tied in your mind. You removed the programming they installed. You questioned the beliefs they fed you. You unlearned the patterns they trained into you. You remembered who you were before them. And slowly, piece by piece, breath by breath, day by day, you rebuilt yourself from the foundation up, not the version they wanted, Not the version they needed, not the version that would ever go back. The real you, the unbothered you, the unshakable you, the you that can watch their tactics and feel nothing because you studied the blueprint, you see the wires, you know the game, you understand the script, and you're just not interested in performing anymore. You know what real connection feels like now. You know what healthy looks like. You know what peace feels like. You know what genuine love, friendship, respect actually feels like. And their counterfeit version, their manufactured intimacy, their performance art relationship, their chaos disguised as passion, looks so cheap now, so obvious, so embarrassingly transparent that you can't believe you ever fell for it. And the confidence, oh, the confidence that came with that clarity, because you're not walking around defensive anymore, waiting for the next attack, the next accusation, the next guilt trip, the next manufactured emergency. You're not rehearsing explanations in your head. You're not preparing defenses for crimes you didn't commit. You're not preemptively apologizing for existing. You're just existing, freely, loudly, unapologetically. And people notice. They notice the lightness, the ease, the genuine smile, the real laugh, the peace that radiates from you like you're carrying sunlight in your chest. They notice you're not complaining, you're not venting, you're not trauma dumping, you're not seeking validation. You're just good, solid, whole, like someone who survived something they're too dignified to discuss. And that quiet strength, that unspoken resilience, that unbothered energy makes you magnetic in ways their chaos never could. Because healthy people, real people, people with substance, they're attracted to peace. They're drawn to stability. They're magnetized by people who don't need saving, don't need fixing, don't need constant validation, who just exist confidently in their own skin. You became that. You became the person they tried to destroy. And instead of becoming destroyed, you became untouchable. Meanwhile, back in their world, things are getting desperate because enough time has passed now that they can't pretend anymore. They can't pretend you're coming back. They can't pretend you still care. They can't pretend their new supply is working. They can't pretend they're fine. The mask is cracking. The performance is exhausting. The lies are getting harder to keep straight. They're watching your life from whatever distance they can, through mutual friends, through social media, through breadcrumbs of information they gather like a detective obsessed with a cold case. And every update destroys them. You got a promotion. You traveled somewhere beautiful. You're in a healthy relationship. You made new friends. You're thriving. You're happy. You're succeeding. You're doing all the things they said you'd never do without them, that you needed them to achieve, that you were too weak, too broken, too damaged to accomplish alone. And every win, every smile, every peaceful moment you have is evidence that they were the problem. Not you. Never you. Them. Their chaos. Their manipulation. Their toxicity. You weren't broken. You were breaking under their weight. You weren't weak. You were exhausted from carrying them. You weren't the problem. You were the solution they kept sabotaging because your healing meant their exposure. Let's talk about the moment they try to come back. Because they will. They always do. It might be months. It might be years. But eventually, when their new supply dries up, when their tactics stop working, when they're alone with the consequences of their choices, they'll reach out. It'll be wrapped in false humility, coated in fake growth, disguised as an apology that's really just bait. They'll say they've changed. They'll say they understand now. They'll say they're sorry, not for what they did, but for how you felt about what they did. They'll list the therapy appointments like credentials. They'll reference self-help books like homework. They'll perform vulnerability like a scripted monologue. And they'll wait. Wait for you to soften. Wait for you to forgive. Wait for you to give them one more chance, because that's what you always did before. Because you're kind, you're understanding, you believe in second chances, you believe people can change. But here's the difference. You're not the same person they left behind. You're not the person they manipulated. You're not the person who yawned and walked away. You're the person who stayed away, who built a life they're not in, who found peace they can't touch, who healed wounds they kept reopening. You've seen behind the curtain. You know the tricks. You recognize the patterns. You understand the game. And you're not interested in playing. Not even for nostalgia. Not even for closure. Not even to prove you've changed. Because you don't need to prove anything to someone who never saw you clearly in the first place. So when they reach out, if they reach out, you'll do something that would have seemed impossible back then, something that feels effortless now. You'll either ignore it completely, or you'll respond with such polite detachment, such emotional distance, such clear boundaries, that they'll immediately know you're not the same. They can't reach you. The door isn't just closed, it's sealed, locked, reinforced. And they're standing outside in the rain, knocking on a wall, wondering why you're not answering, not understanding that you soundproofed your life against their frequency. You don't hate them. You don't even think about them. They're just nothing. A lesson learned. A chapter closed. A version of yourself you outgrew. And that indifference, that genuine, unbothered, peaceful indifference, is the final death blow to whatever hope they had of ever mattering to you again. Because hate means they still affect you. Anger means they still have power. But indifference, real indifference, means they're irrelevant. Forgotten, a ghost haunting a house you don't live in anymore. And there's no coming back from that. No manipulation tactic. No guilt trip. No performance. Nothing they can do or say will ever make them matter to you again. Because you evolved past them. You transcended the level they're stuck on. You're playing a completely different game on a completely different board in a completely different dimension, and they're still stuck in the tutorial level wondering why their cheat codes don't work anymore. Here's what they'll never tell you. What they'll never admit. What keeps them up at night when everyone else is asleep. You haunt them. Not because you're trying to. Not because you're sending signs or posting cryptic messages or playing mind games. You haunt them because you're proof. Proof that their tactics have expiration dates. Proof that manipulation doesn't work on people who wake up. Proof that love, real love, doesn't look like chaos. Proof that they're not as powerful as they thought. Proof that they're not as special as they believed. Proof that you didn't need them to become this version of yourself. You needed to lose them to find yourself. Every time they see you thriving, it's a mirror showing them their own emptiness. Every time they hear you're doing well, it's evidence they were the weight holding you down. Every time someone mentions how happy you seem, how peaceful you look, how much you've grown, it's a reminder that you grew the moment you cut them off. That your healing began the second they stopped having access. That your happiness returned when they left. You are the living, breathing, thriving proof that they were the problem. And they can't spin that. They can't twist that narrative. They can't make themselves the victim of your success because you never spoke against them. You never warned others. You never told your side. Oh, look at this. The ones who swore you'd crumble without them, they're not sleeping anymore. Not peacefully, anyway. They're up at 3 a.m. scrolling through your name, searching for cracks in the foundation you built alone, hunting for proof that you need them, that you're struggling, that you're falling apart without their permission to exist. But instead, they find something that turns their stomach. They find you thriving. Not just surviving, not just getting by. Thriving. Glowing. Untouchable. And it's eating them alive from the inside out because you did the one thing they said was impossible. You won alone. Not with their approval. Not with their network. Not with their validation. You took the loneliest road and turned it into a kingdom. And now they're sick. Literally sick. Watching you build what they said required their presence, their wisdom, their cosign, their blessing. You beautiful, reckless, solitary warrior, welcome to the place where your silence became your loudest weapon, where your isolation became your greatest advantage, where walking away became walking up. They told you that you needed people. They told you that going solo was career death, social death, spiritual death. They painted loneliness like it was poison, like it was failure, like it was proof you couldn't play well with others. They made you believe that success required their circle, their energy, their resources, their stamp of approval. But here's what they didn't tell you. Here's what kept them up even before you left. They knew. Oh, they knew. They knew you didn't actually need them. They knew your strength wasn't borrowed. They knew your vision wasn't a group project. They knew that the moment you realized you could build solo, their relevance would evaporate like morning fog under a ruthless sun. So they fed you the lie. The lie that you're incomplete alone. The lie that isolation equals weakness. The lie that needing no one makes you cold, broken, arrogant, or insane. They needed you to believe you were half a person without them, because the truth, the real truth, is that you were always whole, and they were the ones feeding off your completeness. You were the battery, and they were the devices draining you. You were the sun, and they were the planets, pretending they created the light. You were the foundation, and they were the decorations, claiming they held up the house. And the moment you went solo, the moment you said, "I'll do this myself," that's when their world started cracking. Let's get specific, because they're probably listening right now, refreshing your page, checking your numbers, inspecting your glow up for Photoshop, analyzing your piece for pretending, searching your wins for luck. They want so badly to find evidence that you're miserable, that going solo destroyed you, that you're lonely, desperate, regretful, broken, begging to come back. But what do they see instead? They see expansion. They see growth. They see confidence. They see results. They see someone who stopped asking for permission and started granting it to themselves. And it's torture for them. Pure psychological torture. Because every win you score alone is a reminder of how unnecessary they were. Every milestone you hit without them is proof their gatekeeping was fiction. Every smile on your face, every project you complete, every goal you crush without their input is a dagger in the illusion they sold you. The illusion that you needed them to be you. They're losing sleep because you proved them wrong. Not with words, not with arguments, not with posts or paragraphs or public callouts. You proved them wrong by becoming undeniable, by going ghost and coming back golden, by choosing yourself and watching yourself bloom. They can't argue with results. They can't debate your peace. They can't dismiss your growth. All they can do is watch. And watching you win alone is killing them slower than any revenge you could have planned. Because you didn't need to destroy them. Your success did that for you. Your independence became their nightmare. Your self-sufficiency became their failure. You didn't have to say a word. Your life became the loudest statement you could have ever made. And now they're the ones whispering your name in rooms you'll never enter, trying to figure out how you did it, how you survived without them, how you thrived without them, how you're better without them. See, they thought loneliness would break you. They thought isolation would weaken you. They thought going solo meant you'd come crawling back, humbled, broken, willing to settle for crumbs just to feel connected again. They were counting on it. They weaponized your fear of being alone because they knew connection was your soft spot. They knew you valued relationships, loyalty, and community, so they used that against you. They made you feel like leaving the group meant leaving life itself, like choosing yourself meant choosing emptiness, like walking away meant walking into nothing. But you called their bluff. You stepped into the void they promised would destroy you, and instead of drowning, you learned to fly. You discovered that alone doesn't mean lonely. That solo doesn't mean weak. That independence doesn't mean isolation. You found out that sometimes the crowd you're in is the very thing blocking your view of the mountaintop. And now, they're sleepless. They're scrolling at 2 a.m. They're checking your stories. They're watching your every move, not out of love, not out of concern, but out of disbelief. They can't believe you're doing it without them. They can't believe you're smiling without their approval. They can't believe you're building without their blueprint. They can't believe you're winning without their system. It's eating them alive because their entire identity was built on being needed, on being essential, on being the reason others succeed. But you shattered that story. You became the evidence that their necessity was negotiable, that their value was conditional, that their presence wasn't the key to your potential. You were always the key. You just had to stop letting them hold it. Let me tell you what's really happening in their heads right now. Every single day they wake up, and before they check their own lives, they check yours. They're looking for proof. Proof that you failed. Proof that you're struggling. Proof that going solo was a mistake. Because if you fail, it validates their warnings. It justifies their manipulation. It proves they were right about you needing them. But if you succeed, if you thrive, if you flourish, then it means they were the problem. It means they were the weight you had to drop to rise. It means they weren't the answer. They were the obstacle. And that realization is unbearable for people whose egos are built on being saviors. They need you to need them. They need you to be incomplete without them. Because if you're complete alone, then what were they? Parasites, leeches, dead weight, optional, replaceable, forgettable. So they cope by telling themselves lies. They say you're faking it. They say you're pretending. They say you're putting on a show. They say your success is temporary. They say your peace is fake. They say your confidence is a mask. They say you'll crack soon. They say you'll come back broken. They say you'll regret this. They say you're lost. They say you're confused. They say you're acting out. They say you're having a phase. Anything to avoid admitting the truth. The truth that you're genuinely better without them. That your life improved when they left it. That your mental health stabilized when you cut them off. That your vision clarified when you stopped seeking their input. That your energy returned when you stopped giving it to them. They can't accept it, so they twist it. They rewrite the story. They make themselves the victims. They make you the villain. They tell people you changed, that you're cold now, that success made you arrogant, that independence made you cruel. But you know the truth, don't you? You didn't change. You just stopped pretending. You stopped shrinking yourself to make them comfortable. You stopped dimming your light so they wouldn't feel overshadowed. You stopped apologizing for being capable. You stopped waiting for permission to be powerful. You stopped performing for people who were never applauding, just monitoring, judging, waiting for you to fail so they could say they saw it coming. You stopped living like you needed a cosigner for your existence. And the moment you stopped that performance, the moment you chose authenticity over acceptance, that's when you became free. That's when you became dangerous. That's when you became the one thing they can't control anymore. Yourself. They're not just losing sleep. They're losing their minds. Because you're not supposed to be this okay. You're not supposed to be this stable. You're not supposed to be this successful. Not alone. Not without them. Not without the system. Not without the network. Not without the cosigns. Not without the validation. You were supposed to crash. You were supposed to struggle. You were supposed to realize you made a mistake and come back humbled. That was the script they wrote for you. But you tore up that script and wrote your own. And your version, it's a masterpiece. A one-person show where you're the writer, director, producer, and star. And the audience? The audience is everyone who said it couldn't be done. Everyone who said you needed them. Everyone who said going solo was suicide. They're all watching now, and they're all choking on their words. You went solo, and they got sick. Physically sick. Emotionally sick. Spiritually sick. Because your independence exposed their dependence. Your strength exposed their weakness. Your peace exposed their chaos. Your growth exposed their stagnation. You became the mirror they didn't want to look into. You became the standard they can't meet. You became the example they can't explain away. How did you do it? How did you survive without them? How did you build without their help? How did you rise without their ladder? How did you win without their playbook? They're asking these questions, but they already know the answer. They were never the resource. They were the drain. They were never the solution. They were the problem. And you were always enough. You just needed to believe it. Here's the part that really destroys them. You didn't just survive without them. You improved. You got better. Sharper, clearer, faster, stronger, more focused, more productive, more creative, more successful, more peaceful, more joyful, more aligned, more authentic, more you. Every metric they said would drop without them, it went up. Your income? Up. Your health? Up. Your creativity? Up. Your happiness? Up. Your clarity? Up. Your energy? Up. Your standards? Up. Your boundaries? Up. Your self-respect? Up. Your confidence? Up. Everything they said would collapse without their presence, it skyrocketed. And that's not just evidence, that's a verdict. They were guilty of holding you back and they didn't even know it. Or maybe they did. Maybe they knew exactly what they were doing. Maybe keeping you dependent was the plan all along. Let's talk about what they're doing now. Right now, as you're watching this. They're monitoring. They're lurking. They're pretending they don't care, but checking your every move. They're telling their friends, I don't even think about them anymore, while refreshing your page every 3 hours. They're claiming they've moved on while analyzing your wins for flaws. They're saying good for them through gritted teeth while secretly hoping you stumble. They're watching your glow up like it's a horror movie, and they're the ones being haunted, because your success without them is scarier than any ghost story. It's the death of their narrative. It's the collapse of their control. It's the end of their importance. You were supposed to be their proof that people need people, but instead, you became proof that some people need to be left behind. And you know what the most beautiful part is? You're not even doing it to spite them. You're not building to prove them wrong. You're not succeeding to make them jealous. You're not glowing to make them regret. You're doing it for you. Only you. That's what makes it so devastating for them. If you were doing this for revenge, they could dismiss it as obsession. If you were doing this to prove a point, they could call it insecurity. But you're doing it because it's who you are. You're thriving because that's your natural state when you're not being drained. You're winning because that's what happens when you stop carrying dead weight. You're glowing because that's the result of finally choosing yourself. And they can't argue with that. They can't diminish that. They can't take credit for that. All they can do is watch from the outside and realize they had access to this version of you and wasted it. They had front row seats to your potential and spent the whole show trying to dim the lights. Now they're in the nosebleed section watching you headline a show they'll never be invited to again. And it's killing them. Slowly, quietly, completely. Every post you make is a reminder. Every win you share is a wound. Every smile they see is a scar. Not because you're trying to hurt them, but because your happiness without them is the ultimate evidence that they weren't the source of it. They were the block. You weren't incomplete without them. You were incomplete with them. They weren't adding to your life. They were subtracting from it. And now that you've removed them, the math finally makes sense. You're whole, you're full, you're complete, and they're the ones left feeling empty, watching someone they once had access to become untouchable. Let's go deeper, because they need to hear this. They need to know why they can't sleep. It's not just because you're winning. Lots of people win, and they don't lose sleep over it. It's because you're winning alone. That's the part that breaks them, because it means everything they told you was a lie. Every time they said, you can't do this without me, that was a lie. Every time they said, you need us, that was manipulation. Every time they made you feel small for wanting independence, that was control. They built a cage out of words and called it community. They built a prison out of fear and called it protection. They made you dependent and called it loyalty. But you saw through it. Maybe not immediately, maybe not all at once, but eventually you saw the bars, you saw the locks, you saw the chains disguised as connections, and you walked away. And walking away was the hardest thing you've ever done. Let's not pretend it was easy. Let's not act like it didn't hurt. Let's not rewrite history and say you skipped away into the sunset with no scars. You bled, you cried, you doubted yourself, you questioned everything. You wondered if you made a mistake. You felt the weight of their words echoing in your head, telling you that you'd fail, that you'd regret this, that you'd be nothing without them. There were nights you almost went back. There were moments you almost apologized for choosing yourself. There were times you almost convinced yourself they were right, but you didn't. You stayed the course. You trusted yourself when no one else did. You bet on yourself when everyone else bet against you. And now you're collecting on that bet. They're watching you collect. They're watching you cash in on every risk you took, every sacrifice you made, every lonely night you endured. They're watching you reap the harvest of seeds you planted alone in soil they said was dead. They're watching you build an empire on land they said was cursed. They're watching you turn their curse into your crown. And it's torture for them, because they could have been part of this. They could have supported you. They could have celebrated you. They could have cheered you on. But instead, they doubted you. They mocked you. They dismissed you. They underestimated you. And now they're stuck watching from a distance, realizing they had a winning lottery ticket and tore it up because they didn't believe in the numbers. You know what's really keeping them up at night? It's not just that you're successful. It's that you're happy, genuinely happy, not pretending, not performing, not faking it for the camera, actually happy. They can see it in your eyes. They can hear it in your voice. They can feel it in your energy. You're lighter. You're freer. You're more yourself than you've ever been. And that's the part they can't fake their way around. Because success can be luck. Wins can be timing. Money can be circumstance. But happiness, real happiness, that can't be faked. That can't be bought. That can't be manufactured. That's the result of being in alignment with your truth. And your truth didn't include them. Your peace required their absence. Your joy demanded their exit. Your growth needed their removal. They know this. Deep down, they know this. That's why they can't sleep. Because every time they close their eyes, they see you smiling without them. Every time they try to rest, they remember you thriving without them. Every time they attempt peace, they're reminded that you found yours by losing theirs. They're haunted by the person you became after they left. They're tormented by the version of you they never got to see because they were too busy trying to control the version they wanted you to be. They're living with the ghost of what could have been if they had just supported you instead of suppressing you, celebrated you instead of competing with you, loved you instead of using you. But here's the thing. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them proof. You don't owe them a breakdown of how you did it so they can steal your blueprint and claim they always knew. You don't owe them access to your process. You don't owe them insight into your pain. You don't owe them a behind-the-scenes tour of your transformation. They didn't earn that. They lost that privilege when they chose doubt over belief, when they chose control over support, when they chose their ego over your evolution. So let them wonder, let them speculate, let them create theories and spread rumors and make up stories about how you did it. Let them stay confused. Let them stay lost. Let them stay searching for answers in a book you'll never let them read. Because your story isn't for them anymore. Your journey isn't their lesson. Your wins aren't their teaching moments. You're not here to be their case study, or their cautionary tale, or their example of what happens when you go rogue. You're here to live, fully, freely, authentically, without permission, without apology, without explanation. You're here to prove to yourself that you can, that you are enough, that you always were. That going solo wasn't the death of you, it was the birth of the real you. The you that was buried under their expectations, their projections, their limitations, their fears. The you that was suffocating under the weight of their doubt disguised as concern. So let them lose sleep. Let them scroll at 3 a.m. Let them check your page with shaking hands and racing hearts. Let them analyze your glow for cracks. Let them search your success for asterisks. Let them dig through your peace looking for pretending. Let them stay up all night trying to figure out how you did it without them. Because while they're losing sleep over you, you're sleeping like royalty. While they're sick with envy, you're healthy with purpose. While they're dying of curiosity, you're living in abundance. While they're haunted by your name, you've forgotten theirs. Not because you're petty, but because you're free. And freedom doesn't have room for ghosts. You went solo, and they can't handle it. They're watching you build alone what they said required an army. They're watching you win without the team they said was essential. They're watching you glow without the validation they said was necessary. They're watching you rise without the ladder they said you needed. And it's destroying them because it means they were wrong. About you. About independence. About strength. About what's possible when you stop waiting for permission and start granting it to yourself. They were wrong, and your life is the proof. Your peace is the evidence. Your success is the verdict, and there's no appeal, no retrial, no reversal. You won, alone. And that's the sentence they'll serve for the rest of their lives. The you that was buried under their expectations, their projections, their limitations, their fears. The you that was suffocating under the weight of their doubt disguised as concern. So let them lose sleep. Let them scroll at 3 a.m. Let them check your page with shaking hands and racing hearts. Let them analyze your glow for cracks. Let them search your success for asterisks. Let them dig through your peace looking for pretending. Let them stay up all night trying to figure out how you did it without them. Because while they're losing sleep over you, you're sleeping like royalty. While they're sick with envy, you're healthy with purpose. While they're dying of curiosity, you're living in abundance. While they're haunted by your name, you've forgotten theirs. Not because you're petty, but because you're free. And freedom doesn't have room for ghosts. You went solo, and they can't handle it. They're watching you build alone what they said required an army. They're watching you win without the team they said was essential. They're watching you glow without the validation they said was necessary. They're watching you rise without the ladder they said you needed. And it's destroying them because it means they were wrong. About you. About independence. About strength. About what's possible when you stop waiting for permission and start granting it to yourself. They were wrong, and your life is the proof. Your peace is the evidence. Your success is the verdict. And there's no appeal, no retrial, no reversal. You won.